Welcome to week 11 of the Sunday spread. This is a big week because there's a lot of big freaking games. A lot of big freaking games. Bills, Chiefs. I want to see it. Steelers.
For
Ravens. I want to see it.
I feel like every week this season we come in, it's like, not a great slate. This is the first week I feel in a long time where I'm like, there are multiple games that I'm super excited to watch.
3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
Now, all the rest of the games are a bunch of 2 and 7s versus 3 and 6s. But we got some games where some heavyweights are facing other heavyweights. Once again, this is a Sunday spread presented by BetMGM on the BetQL network. Devin Caney, Barrett Brooks, Sean Bell. Usually we start with our best and worst from the previous week.
Mm-hmm.
This week I want to start a little different just because I hate Aaron Rodgers. So I want to start with Aaron Rodgers still being trashed. Okay. The Jets still being trashed. But most importantly, I want to start with Aaron Rodgers. I think this sums up who he is. Did y'all see the report of what Aaron Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show?
No.
So
I try to not pay attention to what he says on the Pat McAfee show.
Yes, but you couldn't avoid this one on Twitter. On the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers was talking about, I'm going to cut this short, right? I'm just going to give you the gist. I'm just going to give you small parts. He was talking about, hey, you can play bad, throw a lot of interceptions, and still win, and vice versa. It's not necessarily going to tell how someone is playing. So he quoted something. He said, Jared Goff, he said, is now 6-0 when throwing for 4 interceptions or more. 6-0. Where'd he get that stat?
Why would he get that stat?
Where'd he get that stat? Why would he get that stat? Someone tweeted it on Twitter. It was a fake stat. It was a fake stat on Twitter, right? And the person laughed and quoted and started chuckling and said, of course this is who Aaron Rodgers is. I made this up on the spot during the game. Mind you, Aaron, he's only thrown 4 interceptions. He's 1-1 in those type of games where he's thrown for 4 interceptions and more. So it's not even like he's gotten a 6 or 7. So that is the stat that Aaron Rodgers brought up. And Pat McAfee afterwards saw the tweet, started laughing, big eye emojis and all of that. But that just lets me know. That further lets me know who Aaron Rodgers is, how he does his research, how he gets his information. And I'm glad they're still losing. So I'm starting off this show with hate. I'm sorry, y'all. I know it should be positivity. But Aaron Rodgers, you idiot.
Well, just now, you just made Dev's day. You made, to start out with hate with the Jets, he just made your day. You know what I'm saying?
He did. He's pandering to me, and I appreciate it. Because he doesn't want me to roast him again or Penn State.
That was out of nowhere, though.
I almost forgot about last week's roast.
Oh, okay. RKO'd.
I got something in the chamber for you later, Devin.
Oh, God. I'm scared.
But yes, Aaron Rodgers, that's how who he is, and we'll talk more about the Jets later on. Best and worst from last week.
Okay, I got to go with the worst.
Okay, go ahead. Man.
How in the hell does Kansas City, I went with the points, and then they squeak it out? I mean, come on. Are you kidding me?
That's who
they're still undefeated. What is this team?
Kansas City is the most 4-5, 9-0 team I've ever seen.
Did you tweet that?
I did tweet that.
Yeah.
Because as I was so excited, I thought that the Broncos were going to win. Because I don't know if I had the Broncos winning outright, but at least covering either way. I mean, which they still did. But like, I was so excited that the Broncos were going to hand the Chiefs their first loss of the season. And then, like, of course, it's like there's some weird voodoo on them where they're constantly just winning. And it's not even like, oh, Patrick Mahomes finds ways to win. That had nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes.
No, nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
How does that happen? Because Patty Mahomes was sitting over the sideline with doom and gloom, and all of a sudden they miss it. I'm looking like
field goal.
How does that happen, though?
They're the luckiest team. Again, they were comparing them to the Chiefs team. Or, excuse me, they were comparing them to the Patriots who went 17-0 or was it 16-0 at the time.
Yeah, that's right.
And lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. I said, don't compare those two teams.
Well,
okay, that team was ridiculous. They were scoring at a ridiculous rate. They weren't getting lucky. I know we don't like the Patriots. It wasn't luck. The Chiefs.
Is this more of the lines of what the Eagles were last year?
So a lot of people have been making that comparison where the Eagles were 10-1 but none of the wins looked convincing, right? Like as Eagles fans, we weren't having a fun time. So almost, yet it's the Chiefs. So I don't see the Chiefs
Yeah.
and Andy Reid collapsing like the Eagles did. I wish,
Right.
but I don't see that happening. The annoying thing is with the 9-0 Chiefs is people who aren't fully paying attention are like, oh, they're still the greatest. Like,
No.
can't stop them. It's like, have you seen the Chiefs?
Yes.
Have you seen them? Like they're not playing good football. They're just somehow winning. It's so annoying. I think they lose this weekend though, but we'll get into that later in the show.
It'll be. It's gonna be a great game.
Yeah.
So that's how I start off.
That's how you said. Where were you right?
I was right. I was right with a lot of games, But I'm not done yet.
Oh, my bad.
The worst. The 49ers.
A win is a win is a win.
You ain't even kissing me though, bro. Come on, man.
Listen,
how does that happen?
This is the second week in a row that our social team started to decide to tweet something I was wrong. I said double-digit win. Boom, book it. They win by 3. Barely win. Brock Purdy needs to drive them at the end of the game to make a field goal.
Bro, Brock
But
Purdy,
I was wrong about the spread.
Brock Purdy's pretty damn good. I didn't know he was that good.
Yeah, he's been
I know he was good, but he's showing me this year that he's a lot better than I really thought he was because he took a whole lot of nothing and tried to make it into something. He tried his best. He played up to par, except for one game.
Well,
And you know what? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I feel like the league and we just have to give the Bucs a little bit more credit. They just seem like even throughout this whole season and last season, we're not really giving Baker Mayfield credit, and especially this season, he doesn't have his 2 best targets.
Yeah,
Chris Godwin, Mike Evans are out, and they're still finding ways to be a productive offense. And their defense is pretty good. So I just think that it's not all like lack of, production and play from the 49ers, but the Bucs are a pretty good team, like even without their top guys.
And that's surprising. But it's got to give Baker his just due.
Yeah.
It's funny because he threw for 116 yards.
But he kept them together, man.
He did keep it. It's weird because
it didn't look like it, though.
The 49ers consistently this year have dominated games, even in their losses, and have found ways to make it close or found ways to lose. Their field goal kicker missed 3.
Mm-hmm.
3. You saw Deebo Samuel try to fight the long snapper,
right?
Because he was cursing out the kicker before he actually won the game. 3 missed field goals. What do you say to your field goal kicker, Barry Brooks, as missed you 3?
Bro, I almost killed one of my field goal kickers. I'm not gonna lie. We're in Dallas.
Yeah, tell the story.
We're in Dallas. What was my kicker's name? We're in Dallas.
And
he was a former Dallas guy.
Disrespect of the kicker.
No, hold on, but we got him from Dallas. But it wasn't his fault though. It was the long snapper's fault. I mean, no, not the long snapper, but the guy that catches and sets it down. It was Tom Hutton's fault. I know him. He was the punter, but he's supposed to catch and set it up for him. He fumbles it and then tries to throw it, gets hit. Oh, and we lost the Dallas thing last second. So it's not the kicker's fault.
But
it was the holder's fault. But the holder did that. That was
look at he reminiscing right now in his head.
I
Like, who do I blame? Who do I curse out? Who do I text right now?
Right. Well, the reason I was feeling it because he used to be a Chris Bonio. Chris Bonio was with the Cowboys before he came to us, and I'm thinking myself he did it. So I was about to whoop his ass, and then I turned around, looked, and I was about to go get him, but it was Tom Hutton's fault, and we came in together. You know what I'm saying? So he's in my draft class. So Tennessee.
So you left him alone.
So I left him alone, but I was still thinking it was Chris Hutton's fault. I mean, Chris Bonio's fault. But yeah, but on my last one, come on, man. The Dolphins beat me again. I said the Dolphins suck. They won't be able to do anything against the Rams.
I still don't know what to make of the Dolphins, though.
But what happened?
Are they good? Are they
right?
They still have tons of talent on offense, but they're just not the fun Miami Dolphins that we saw last season.
And they beat the Rams. I thought the Rams were going to totally smoke them.
Yeah, I mean Dolphins and Rams, 2 teams where it's like I don't really understand what I'm going to get week to week.
Well, the Dolphins didn't have Tua for a 4 or 5 game stretch.
Yeah,
so,
and I
that counts
then.
also. But even with him back, they haven't been dynamic. Tyreek Hill hasn't done anything. I know he had that game-winning touchdown catch. He had 16 yards.
Yeah, it's
and
weird.
4 targets.
It's weird
in that Rams game. So it's something that greatest offense that we saw last year ain't working. What you get right?
Man, I can't even go to my get rights.
It was that bad? It was that bad of a week.
It was a really bad week for me. Really bad. I mean, I could keep going. Saints winning. Are you crazy? The Saints won. The Saints won.
They snapped their losing streak.
Yeah, but why does everybody want to do it on my time? You know what I'm saying? On my picks.
Yeah.
That's 4 games.
Yeah. You taking some of our stuff. That's definitely one of mine.
I'm taking L's everywhere.
The Saints Falcons. Just what are we doing here? Why would the Saints win that game? The Falcons are supposed to be a much
better team.
Kirko Chains, Kirko Cuz. What were you doing in that game? Again, I know you had 300 yards, but it should have been much better. What are we doing here? At least Bijan. I had him going anytime tutty.
Yeah.
I had him going for over 75 yards, over 100 all-purpose yards. So that hit for me last week. Dev, what are some of your misses and makes in this game?
Well, first, let me gloat a little bit because once again, I tried to tell you all my anytime touchdown parlay hit.
Again.
Najee Harris, anytime touchdown. Boom.
That.
James Conner, anytime touchdown.
I had that.
Boom. Joe Mixon, anytime touchdown.
I got that one.
So
I had
funny
that
story
also.
about this. So I, of course, always place my parlays that I give out. I placed that one, but you know how on every sports book they sometimes will list the touchdowns in different orders. So it's like sometimes it says first touchdown score and sometimes it says anytime.
Mhm.
I accidentally placed it for first touchdown score for Najee and Joe Mixon. Or no, James Conner and Joe Mixon.
And it worked?
And it hit. Yeah. And it hit. So the odds were like, I remember placing and being like, wow, those are really weirdly good odds. Like, why is it plus
What
6,000?
in the world?
And yeah, it hit. So
Wow.
Lucky.
there you go.
Somebody had a great
That never
great
works for me
day.
because
Yeah.
I've made that mistake before and thought I've won a bet before because I was like, oh, everybody scored.
And then it's
And it
first
said,
touchdown.
no, it said first.
Yeah.
Are you kidding
No,
me?
it's really tricky. Sportsbooks fix your design with that, but it worked out for me.
Especially when you're
in
doing
that
it
one.
quick. You're like,
Yeah,
I
because
got time.
like,
Let me make
right.
these bets real quick.
Right.
Okay.
So that was good. What else worked for me? I mean, Lions Texans, that game was, I think, closer than I expected, but Lions got the win again. I was wrong about the Broncos. I mean, they still covered, but like I really thought that they were going to win. Oh, the Steelers beating the Commanders. Me and Kenny Henderson,
That's one of
our
my bright
producer, we
sides.
were Team Steelers, and I think I'm Team Steelers again this week. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I just had a feeling that Steelers defense was going to be a really good matchup against that Washington offense, and they did. They kept Jaden Daniels in check, so I was right about that. They got the win, and I think Steelers are a lot better team than I think we're giving them credit for, but I think a lot of people are starting to realize that as well. So.
Well,
Yeah.
they definitely. I mean, that's one of my bright side bets that Steelers. I called it. So
Yeah. Again, both teams coming off the bye. I always pick the teams coming off the good teams coming off the bye. So I said the 49ers and Steelers, that's a guarantee for me. It looked shaky because, again, the Steelers barely squeaked through to get a 28-27 win.
Close. There were a
It was
lot of
close.
games in Week 10 that came down to the wire,
yeah,
right? Like there was the Chiefs Broncos, of course. It's Steelers Commanders, even like Bucks 49ers, really
Yep.
close. Like just a lot of nail biters.
The annoying thing for me this week was all those people you named I had in my touchdown parlay. Like, I listened to you, Dad.
Mhm.
I do listen to
Oh,
you.
you threw in another leg that didn't hit. Is that what
Who do you
happened?
think I threw in?
Christian McCaffrey,
No.
my boy.
Travis Etienne.
No, he plays on a team with the touchdown merchant. Saquon Barkley. I went back to the
Barkley.
well. I said I won it, but I went back to the well. And it
Hold on, you said that 3 times too.
it's yes.
You said
and-
it 3 times on the show.
Listen, and he's done 4 times this year where he's gotten them to the 1 yard line. I'm talking about 1 yard line, 1 inch yard line. And the touchdown merchant comes in and takes it. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I root for Jalen Hurts to get stopped. I root for a
You're a hater.
I root for a penalty. I root for anything I can get to take away first in goal at the 1, first and goal at the inch line, so I can have a chance at Saquon Barkley. Barrett, we talked about it before the show. Saquon, all his touchdowns are outside the red zone.
Had to be like 20 yards or more.
He doesn't have a touchdown that's inside the red zone. He doesn't have a touchdown close to inside the 10. You would think the running back, a top 3 running back in the league right now, top 2 running back in the league right now, would get it. But no, the touchdown merchant screws me again.
We're building a.
Why is Dev
MVP.
smirking? Why is Dev smirking and laughing at my pain?
We're
'Cause
building
you're
an
such a
MVP
hater.
candidate right now.
How is that hate?
God forbid the leading rusher doesn't get a touchdown to mess up Sean's parlay. Look, I would have told you not to take him because the Eagles were much better than the
here we
Cowboys.
go.
They're going to blow them out, and Saquon was pulled out in the fourth quarter. They didn't even need him.
I thought
to
he would
score.
get easy ones. But again, he made nothing out of something. Right? Like, when you used to play, they used to reward the guy who got you there.
You supposed to.
Hey, he got us to the 1. He got us to the 2. Give that man the rock.
We
Saquon was 3 people. Juke, spin, gets you straight to the 1, makes something out of nothing. And here goes Jalen Hurts running like this.
We used to call timeout.
You
Get him
know?
a rest. We call timeout. Let me get you a rest, bro.
Why
Take us
he
in.
does run like that? Why does he run like that? Why is
Run
that such a
like
good
this.
impression?
Let me run on the field and take y'all touchdown. Listen, we gotta take a break and talk about some of the biggest news. We're gonna get to the upsets because we always got to get to the upsets. There's always a ton of those, but we didn't get to some of the hottest news, and that's Kenny Henderson's Bears. A firing of a team that still has a chance to make the playoffs. A firing. What does that say about the Chicago Bears? What does that say about Caleb Williams? Sunday spread. Welcome back to the Sunday spread. I calmed down. I'm all right. I'm gonna be all right. I calmed down on this one. Barrett Brooks, Devin Caney, Sean Bell. What we didn't get to in the first segment is the Bears firings. You fire your offensive coordinator, Shane. How you say it? Waldron. Is that right? Hey Kenny, is that right? Shane Waldron. That's what it sounds like.
Yep.
Shane Waldron. You get a new offensive coordinator in Thomas Brown. The Bears started off hot. We started off thinking this team is going to be a playoff team. This team looks good. Caleb Williams, after struggling the first 2 games, looked like he was coming along, and then they hit this snag. Then it's, okay, loss, and another loss. And that led to a firing. Again, the offense looked dynamic at one point. Now it doesn't. Dev, what do you make of this firing, of the timing of the firing, and what do you make of the Chicago Bears in general this season? Playoffs done? Question mark.
I mean, I would assume so. Like they're just not getting anything done on offense. If you told me that a coach was fired from the Bears last week, I would have said 95% it's Matt Eberflus, just because his decision making for multiple seasons now, the last 2, has just been so questionable. And I'm curious to hear Kenny, our producer who is a Bears fan's thoughts on this, just because like watching them play last week, and I even texted in our show's group chat, like I know that Doug Peterson's name has been brought up as a coach that's on the hot seat. Brian Daboll of the Giants, like there have been several names. Matt Eberflus to me, and I haven't checked the updated odds. Like I would, if I had to put money on it, I would have guessed that he would be the head coach to go. But firing the OC also, I guess, is kind of a scapegoat. I don't know. That clearly that offense is not getting a lot done. For me, like it's Caleb Williams just looks very, very unsure. He's not taking risks because he clearly doesn't want to turn the ball over. But that I think is hurting him because the type of quarterback he is
That's
like,
all he did in college.
He needs to take those risks, and it seems like he's just lacking in confidence. And I don't know. I'm not a head coach. I'm not an NFL coach. Like I don't know how you instill that in a season mid-season. I mean, in a player mid-season. But I think the Bears are probably done so.
Yeah, and to line it up, just to say, they had a 3-game winning streak at one point where they scored 24, 36, and 35.
And their defense is still pretty good.
Defense is good. But then after that stretch, 15 points, 9 points, 3 points. Against defenses that aren't great, by the way. He did 15 points against the Commanders and 9 points against the Cardinals. You can't do that. Now, they had 3 points against the Patriots. You also can't do that, but you understand the Patriots, although they're a bad team, have a pretty good defense. What do you make of that firing? And then your experience with firing someone mid-season.
I had a head coach quit on us halfway through the season.
Quit?
Yes, quit.
Wow.
Oh, he wasn't fired. You said he quit.
What happened to make him quit?
It was so much
That has
stuff.
to be
like,
pretty bad, right?
It was real bad.
What team?
Bobby Ross. I was playing with the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
And he just lost it halfway through the year. I remember we were actually like 6-2 somewhere. We had a pretty good record at the time, and we're going to play Green Bay in Green Bay. So It's snowing outside. It's halfway through the season. It's like a foot of snow on the ground. So we're sorry. We're playing against Green Bay. We're not going to take it. We're not going to take it inside the stadium. We're going to practice outside. And we go outside to practice, and guys are just, jumping off sides. They're walking around, BSing around, and he starts, getting mad, and he starts calling out. Now, Coach Ross is about
Short
tall.
dude. He's like
Real
5'7", right?
Right. So he's running the place. Stop the He's like almost like a little leprechaun. Stop the practice. Stop the practice. Stop the practice. Call it up. And guys walked. Nobody was jogging. Because, all the snow, and they walked to him. And he's looking around. He says, I give my heart and soul to you guys. And Robert Porcher, Tracy Stroggins, Herman Moore start laughing. Not like in, but like in, and he falls straight on his face. No hands or nothing. He just, and they pick him up, and they're like,
Why'd he fall?
He just blacked out or something. And he hits the ground, so he gets up, and guys, Coach Moeller, who eventually became the interim head coach. We go inside. So he's going inside. So they got him up, and he was on one knee. He's looking up. And Herman turns around and said, hey, Coach, that means we ain't got to go to meetings either.
Why were they so mean?
Yeah, this doesn't make. I originally just made originally I thought the coach was bad. Now the players sound like terrible
That's
people
so
right now.
mean.
No, he lied to so many. You can't lie to grown men. Number one, and he told them.
What did he lie about?
Everything, like playing time, what they were going to do in the offense. You just kept lying and saying, and you're not coming through. So nobody trusted him. So nobody liked him. So he came up the next day and said, guys, I don't know when I lost the team, but I lost it. And guys like, yeah, you lost us when you was lying to us. You kept lying to us, And he said, well, I have to resign, for health issues. That ain't why that's not why.
Well, I
You
mean,
know
if
why.
he's just like passing out mid-practice.
There's definitely health issues.
Well, health issues
Maybe he
he
does.
created from not telling, players the right thing or being truthful. Like, when he lost the team, guys didn't care what they did. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and it's stuff that
Y'all still sound bad in this situation, but a guy fainted and y'all was laughing at him.
because
You guys are mean.
he did so
Were
much.
you laughing?
I'd never do that.
Uh-huh.
I never do that.
Okay.
I respect authority. You know what I'm saying? He was the head coach. I
Oof.
gotta respect that. But he lost the big name guys on the team by not being 100 with him. You got number one with the man. You gotta respect the man. Number one, don't lie to him. If you say it, keep it 100 or get as close to you can get to what you're doing. Number three, you gotta be the coach who pulls through and can get your players up. He couldn't do any of that. Now, Coach Moeller came in. He got things going in the right direction. Coach Moeller, former Michigan coach.
That was going to be my question then. Like, how do you guys do there?
Everybody fell in line. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, you can't do that. Now, as for a firing halfway through the season, as when you have a rookie player like that, a rookie quarterback, look at what's going on with the Commanders. Cliff Kingsbury brought all the attributes he had when he was in college, and that's how he's able to run this offense the way it's supposed to be run. Throw to half the field, run the ball consistently, and they don't have that with the Bears. No way to run the ball. The offensive line sucks, and you just can't run a pro style offense when you don't have pro style athletes that can go out there and throw in those type of systems. And I think that's the biggest thing. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You got to put him in the best position you can put him in by making sure that you're giving him something he's comfortable with. And just like you've been saying, Dev, he's not comfortable with what he's doing. And when you're not comfortable, how do you expect to execute and throw? It just wouldn't mean.
So let's finish it with this. Bears, now because the NFC North has been the best. NFC North, has been the best division in football. Are the Bears done? They're 4-5. They're the last team in the NFC North. Are their playoff hopes done?
Stick a fork in them.
I'm with you.
The O-line is still there. That O-line still sucks, so they're still there.
The O-line sucks. You're behind the Detroit Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers. All three of those teams have will likely make the playoffs.
Yes.
So every other division, it's the division winner in those three. So it's going to be tough for everybody involved. All right, let's get to the upsets. Let's get to the upset alerts on who you think are going to have upsets this week in week 11. Again, there's a lot of great games and a lot of bad games. Not too many in between, but good. A lot of great games. Dev, again, I'll start with you. What are you looking at? What's your best upset alert?
The Steelers, again, they were my underdog of the week in week 10. They're going to be my underdog of the week in week 11 against the Ravens. This game is going to be so good. I'm really pumped to watch it, but I know the Ravens offense is rolling. Lamar Jackson's kryptonite is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. Every time he's played, which has only been 4 throughout his career, he's 1-3 versus Steelers. His one win was his very first game against the Steelers in 2019.
He's only played against the Steelers 4 times?
Yeah, like as a full participant, yes.
Oh.
At least according to ESPN.com. If that's incorrect, then blame them. But he has a pass rating under 70 when he plays them. The Steelers have intercepted him 7 times. They are truly his kryptonite, and I also think that the Steelers' stout defense is just much, much more of an asset to them than the Ravens' defense, which I think has some holes given their offense and how powerful that their offense has been playing. Plus, the Steelers' offense is rolling. I mean, Russell Wilson hasn't lost since he's become starting quarterback. They're putting up over 28 points per game. Yeah. Like they're doing well. So I like Steelers in this spot.
Steelers a complete team,
and it's at home in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they're looking like Super Bowl contenders. Maybe we'll talk about that a little more later. But why not?
I mean, it's incredible how they're able to go out there and I really think that the offense opened up when the old man got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think that's the biggest thing, which allowed them then to run the ball consistently. And he just throws such a pretty deep ball.
We were also wrong on Mike Williams coming in and not doing anything in week 1. He didn't have many yards, but he did catch a touchdown.
Yeah, he came in right away.
Yeah, he came in right away and made it happen.
And that's been 2 receivers in a row. DeAndre Hopkins came in right away.
Yeah.
Mike Williams came in right away. Big play.
How does that happen, though? You know what I'm saying? How does that happen, man?
Hey, he just in your face, Aaron Rodgers. What do you got, Barrett?
My upset of the week is the Vikings get upset. I think the Titans come in. Defensively, they're looking pretty good. And I really think Sam Darnold is really being Sam Darnold. What you saw before is not what Sam Darnold is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's got some great weapons, Jefferson, Addison. He's got guys he can get the ball to, but I think this all fools go with him. And I think the defense really held things together. But you have a healthy Titans team going in and out. They're getting just about everybody back on the roster.
Okay.
So I'm going with the Titans.
Are the Vikings a fraudulent team to you?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so they're still on.
The defense
fraudulent.
is good. The defense is good, but they're still fraudulent because the quarterback's in the situation. Now that's kind of crazy come from me saying that the Vikings, the Titans, gonna go in and win when they got Will Levis. But I think their defense will go out there and play well, and they'll be my upset. You know what I'm saying? Take the points.
And Will Levis hasn't been as bad lately as people.
No,
I know
exactly.
It's a bad team and they're losing, but he looks like he has promise as a quarterback, as opposed to looking like he shouldn't be on the field.
Right.
I have 2. I got one that's just hopeful hate, and I got one that I actually believe in. The first one is the Colts over the Jets. Again, the Jets stink. Aaron Rodgers stinks. Aaron Rodgers gets turnovers. That offense isn't exploding and give you 25, 27, 28 points per game. And the Colts, Jonathan Taylor's. Right? Like, if you want to bet him to get over 100 yards and a touchdown in this game, bet it.
Yeah.
Right? Because they lean on him and he plays well. Anthony Richardson, I believe, getting a start again. All right. Did you learn, kid? Right? Like, did you learn from some of your mistakes? Did you learn how to lead? One thing Anthony Richardson can do is add to that running attack.
Yep.
Because he likes to run. Now, too much. He likes to run people over and he gets hurt. But again, I think the Colts can be a team that has a solid offense, that plays pretty well, and can keep the Jets also off the field because of that running game, while the Jets, again, can't put it together. I don't care if they play a good team or a bad team. They can't put it together. That may be hate because I want to see it, But I think there's some sound logic behind that. In the other game, I know, Dev, you disagree. Chiefs-Bills.
I was just about to say that.
And you said something about the Steelers and the Ravens game that I think applies to this.
Mm-hmm.
We own you. There's something about, hey, I own you. You can't beat me. I don't care. Like, I don't care what you two do. I don't care that you're a better team. If I'm healthy and I'm good, I'm going to beat you. I had the psychological warfare. It's like growing up with my big brother. I can't beat you. If we get in a tussle, I'm gonna lose. It don't matter if I'm like something about even to this day. Again, I haven't beefed with my brother. We go in a long time, and in regards to playing around, tussle.
Right.
But the fire in his eyes when it even is a possibility that we may tussle lets me know I can't beat him, because he takes it as if I will die before I let my little.
Like 6 inches taller than your brother?
That's my point. I'm 4 inches taller than my brother.
Okay,
but that's the point. It is. I don't have that in my eyes. When I want to wrestle around with my brother, I never had that in my eyes. It was playful, or even when it wasn't playful, I didn't have I will die before I let you win. My brother will die before he lets me win.
He'll take the hat off and everything.
I will. Listen, I will go to lengths. I will have the fury in my eyes, the Mike Tyson in my eyes, and make sure you don't win. I don't care if you weigh more. I don't care if you're taller. I don't care if you've been lifting weights. I don't care what athletic thing you can do.
Yeah, that's my dog.
It's something about my older brother, and older siblings in general, especially ones that like to, I just can't. And that's how I feel about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills.
That's how I feel about my son.
14 seconds left, man. So, right? Like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to beat you. And that's how I feel about the Bills. And also, by the way, the Bills haven't beaten a team over 500 this season. They're 8-2, but every team they beat is under 500. And I'm not talking about 5-5. I'm talking about below.
Wow.
They haven't beaten a team who is a winning team above 500. The two teams that they did face that are good, that are above 500, they lost to. Okay. So that's something to take in consideration. I don't know. I do think the Bills are good. I just don't know how good they are because of that. So that's my
Well,
take.
how many have the Chiefs beaten over 500?
Yeah, that's a good question. Before we take a break, let me look at it. The Chiefs beat the Ravens.
But the Ravens weren't.
They beat the Falcons. They beat the Chargers. They beat the 49ers. So they beat the Broncos. So that's 5 wins over teams above 500.
Okay.
So even though we all say it's a lot of fluky wins for the Chiefs, they played a lot of good teams, a lot of teams that are going to make the playoffs and have won, as opposed to the Bills haven't done it.
You know what's a sneaky game like that? The Broncos-Falcons.
Which we'll talk about later in our biggest games of the week.
What a segue.
Right? Broncos-Falcons. Well, so we're going to get to that in a little bit. We're going to get to the parlays of touchdowns so Devin Caney can brag.
Touchdown queen.
and tell you I told you so. All right, that's what's coming up on the Sunday Spread. Welcome back to the Sunday Spread. Week 11. Devin Caney, Barrett Brooks, Sean Bell. Parlays, touchdowns, the queen. You said it earlier. You bragged in the first segment about
it hit.
Hitting.
And the first touchdowns hit, so.
See? You miss know everything. So what you got for us? Well, what touchdown, what parlays, what second chance TDs, give it all.
Second chance TDs. So I actually have a repeat from last week. So last week's what hit for me was, and it was an unintentional theme, it was running backs. It feels like it's been a big season for running backs.
It has.
Can I just say? And I appreciate that running backs value is at least like kind of having a comeback. So I feel like
like old
their
school, like
value
when I
is
played.
dipping.
Yeah.
But this one isn't totally themed. I have 2 that I like because I haven't seen anything that like really stands out to me aside from these 2. If I find another that I really like, I will post it and let you know. But right now, I like Najee Harris again. The Ravens defense, they allow the 5th most receiving touchdowns to running backs. So I like Najee Harris getting in there, and he's just been doing so well for the Steelers lately on offense. And I like Dalton Kincaid. I know he's been questionable throughout the week, but he is listed under props. I think he is expected to play. So if he doesn't, then just swap it out for Dawson Knox. But I like Dalton Kincaid because Kansas City's defense is terrible against tight ends in both targets, receptions, and touchdowns allowed to the position. They're allowing the 2nd most targets, the most receptions to tight ends. So Dalton Kincaid for the Buffalo Bills. I like him getting in there.
Okay. I like it. Like, you can throw it again. The tight ends have your tight ends.
I know. So the
They've
last time
gotten
I
better.
used tight ends in this touchdown parlay, it did not go well. But that was way early in the season, so
They picked
maybe,
it up.
Yeah.
They picked it up even more than the wide receivers, I would say. B. Brooks.
I'm going with an all timer. I'm going with 5 tight ends anytime touchdown.
5?
Yes.
5. You said 5.
Yes.
Okay. Let's
Number
hear
one.
this.
He's risky.
Mark Andrews, who's been balling and getting his fair. Yeah, they had 2 the last game, 1 or 2 the last game. I'm going Kelsey because he's back into doing what he's supposed to do.
Mm.
And that's the only way they'll have a chance in beating the Bills. Then I am going Dalton Kincaid because he's been real effective, going into the red zone. And big time yak yard is going in for a touchdown, you know what I'm saying? And then I got to go Laporta. I think that's the reason why they haven't been as successful and why they've been, kind of, with Ben Johnson trying to get things going. He's got to go back to Laporta. Laporta got those things going, and that in the running game gives him an opportunity to do that. And then I'm going with Goddard.
Goddard came through for me last week.
Yeah,
with the
exactly.
Eagles.
So Goddard,
They give it to their backup tight end more than they do Goddard, I feel like.
Well, Goddard hasn't been healthy.
Yeah, he just came
You're
back
right.
last week. But they do like Calcaterra a lot. They do like Calcaterra a lot.
Because even when Goddard when
Calcaterra's good.
Goddard was healthy, they didn't go to him much.
Nope.
But Calcaterra, they go to him all the time.
In the middle of the field.
Healthy, injured,
Yep.
it doesn't matter. Playing or not, they go to him more than they've gone to Goddard. So I don't know what that says, but
I
that's
feel
what it
like
feels
Jalen Hurts subconsciously has players who he trusts a lot
Yes,
more than
yes,
others,
yes.
and I feel like for whatever reason he does not trust Dallas Goddard because he's never used Goddard as like his main target.
Mhm.
And how about, them going to Dotson because that one catch he had 2 weeks ago, now he's going to him all the time now.
Yeah,
So I was
Yeah.
kind of thinking, that,
maybe
tease him up to
maybe
55
players
yards.
earn Jalen Hurts' trust.
yes.
Because Calcaterra, he went to him last week in the Dallas game, and then Calcaterra, I think dropped it, or it might have been the one that led to an interception.
Yep.
And then he threw a touchdown pass to Goddard. So I don't know. Also, one note on, so I said Dalton Kincaid for that Bills Chiefs game.
Mhm.
Keep an eye on Isaiah Pacheco. I know that there's been rumblings that he could return. I don't think he will, but if he does,
Ooh,
then
that's
take
nice,
him
yeah.
because the Bills defense is really bad against receiving running backs. So that's why I don't love Kareem Hunt, just because if you look at Kareem Hunt, he doesn't receive that much. I mean, Patrick Mahomes in general doesn't like throwing to his backs
No,
that
he
often.
doesn't.
He's
Yeah.
not that kind of quarterback. But if any running back does get in the end zone, I would think that Pacheco would be a better option than Kareem Hunt. Or you can take Kareem Hunt. I don't know. It's to you.
You're like,
Up to you. It's your life.
or you can't, whatever. Jameer Gibbs. Again, I know
You're going Gibbs over Montgomery?
I go back and forth with David Montgomery.
know.
But Jameer Gibbs has been the one getting the most consistent carries, right? He's
What about touchdowns?
taken, but that's why, right? He has 7
Mhm.
touchdowns on the season. I don't know that that's because Detroit Lions are scoring against everybody, but Jameer Gibbs has been the one more times than not getting those. And if David Montgomery does get a touchdown, usually it's Jameer and David got a
Mhm.
touchdown.
Yep,
And so
yep.
facing the Jacksonville Jaguars team that's terrible, they're 0-5 on the road, right? To me, it's going to be one of those Jared Goff threw for 150 yards, maybe 150
Or
yards.
less.
Or less. And the running backs just
Yeah.
carried both of those individuals. So if you want to even think about having David and Jameer as anytime touchdown scorers, I would think about it, but I certainly want to go with Jameer Gibbs getting a touchdown. Kyron Williams, I mean, he's been the consistent back that nobody talks about. I know the Rams are inconsistent in general,
Mhm.
but it starts with them now, right? It used to start with Stafford throwing it all over the place to Cooper and Puka and whoever he has. It starts with their running back now. It's a lot of play action off of that running back,
It's funny
and
you
he's
say
played
that,
well.
too. Yes, it is. I mean, just watch them against the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
They love him. They do love him.
Yeah, so he's been able to get it done. Jonathan Taylor, I'm going with again. Again, guy's balling. Only has 5 touchdowns in the season, but he had some injured weeks. So now that he's coming in, the Jets, again, aren't a good team. Since Robert Saleh is gone, the Jets defense isn't that good, right? They have some good individual players, but they just don't know how to call it. Mm-hmm. So because of that, I'm going to go with him, continue to ball out. Bijan Robinson has been pretty consistent. I think he gets in the end zone against the Denver Broncos. Again, the Denver Broncos defensively have been a good team. Again, I'm on a theme right now. I'm doing all running backs, but it's my comfort level. Like the running backs are just where my comfort level is right now.
No, running backs have been the safest option because it's been a really good year for running backs. It's been a really down year for passing. So
yeah, and if I want to throw one last one in there, I'm gonna go with George Kittle. Yeah, he's out of the tight ends. He's having the best year of the tight ends.
Is he?
Yes.
Okay.
He's the most yards, I believe, and the most touchdowns. I'm not sure about the touchdowns.
Okay.
Yards, unbelievable. So
I've been staying away from Kittle props just because he messed up a few parlays for me early in the season where he just did nothing. So I didn't know that he had been doing well.
Yeah.
I also just feel like 49ers they've been so injured that I hadn't really been paying too much attention to them because they were just losing.
Part of that is George Kittle he missed one game, but he really hasn't been injured outside of that.
Yeah.
And so Debo, Brandon, all these other guys are getting injured. So who I got to go to? George Kittle. And George Kittle has been Brock Purdy's safety net because they haven't been good on the red zone this season, which is why they're 5-4 and not better. They haven't been good in the red zone. Who has been good in the red zone for him, though? Kittle. Mm-hmm. So I think he gets in against Seattle Seahawks. So those are the ones that I'm going with. What y'all think?
He's faster than what I thought. It seems like he's gotten faster in his years there, and Kittle's been a weapon for him. So, I mean, it's tough trying to move some of these guys out. But George Kittle and T.J. Hockenson, both of those guys probably going to move up in the rankings. Now when it's starting to get tough, and you go back to the guys that usually get you there. And those two definitely belong up in that, in my
George Kittle has scored in 7 out of 9 games.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I would move him up.
Excuse me. He's missed 1 game. So 6 out of 8 games. He scored in 6 out of 8 games this season. He only hasn't scored in 2 of those games. So he's been a consistent target. He's going to score in a game more times than not because he's been their A1 in the red zone. At least Brock Purdy's A1 in the red zone, especially since Brandon Ayuk was that last year. He's out now. I want to get to some futures. Since we're that time of year, right? You can still get some nice futures, and things have moved around a little bit. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the outright winner for the Super Bowl. Chiefs still ahead, obviously, plus 400. The Lions, plus 425. The Ravens, plus 600. The Bills, plus 800. The Eagles and the 49ers, 10-1. And then everything after that is a real long shot. Packers, 22-1. Texans, 25-1. Steelers, 25-1.
See, that's so surprising to me.
It is. So with that said, I'm not going to ask y'all who you think is going to win. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask y'all who you think is the best deal.
The Steelers.
Yeah.
The Steelers. I mean, you're talking about odds. So what? You listed the top 4. No surprise. Chiefs, 49ers.
Chiefs, Lions,
Eagles,
Ravens.
Lions,
Bills.
Ravens. Oh.
The 49ers are tied 5th with the Eagles.
But either way, my point is that the Packers and the Texans are ahead of the Steelers.
Yes.
That's so surprising to me because the Steelers essentially have the same record as the Ravens. It's 1-7-2, 1-7-3 because one team had a bye and the other hasn't. So, I mean, I think that the Steelers are, especially since Russell Wilson has taken over and they've been rolling, have been a very underrated potential contender because they've always had a really strong defense and now their offense is really clicking. So, I think if you want a good value, I would take the Steelers.
Where the Bills at?
The Bills are 4th, 8-1.
8-1.
Because I'm thinking I'm with Dev when it comes to the Steelers being the best one, 25-1 for a team.
That's so surprising.
Shooting up, is
they've won 4 straight. Their offense is rolling That's crazy.
Defense is obviously
their defense has always been good. Yeah.
If I don't go with the Steelers, and it's not as much of a surprise, but they're 5-6. The Eagles and the Niners at 10-1, maybe something that I go with just because pure talent wise, I think the Eagles and Niners can beat anybody. If you're talking about pure talent and they're both healthy, they can win. Now, some things can get in their way. Niners would be health injuries. Eagles, sometimes people don't like the head coach or some of the calls, but their defense has gotten a lot better. So those are 2 other teams. Again, I'm with you on the Steelers, but the Eagles and the Niners, I think talent for talent, can match up with anybody in the league. What do you think, Barrett?
I mean, you're absolutely right. 10-1, Eagles. They just had to warm up to their coordinators. Now that they've warmed up to their coordinators, they have an identity now. It took them, 4.5 weeks to get 5 weeks to get an identity. And once they got that identity, they've embraced it and went with it. I think the only thing that's really hampered the 49ers, the talent that's there, is injuries. CMC is back. And with him being back, it just opens up everything. I mean, I thought they were going to try to ease him into it. Yeah. Nice easing him into it. The first 6 plays were probably his, right? So, he's with them having him back, it just opens up the entire offense. So, yeah, I think those are probably the best bets are those two right there. Then after that, it has to be the Steelers. Because, Russell Wilson's opened up the offense now. He's a more reliable passer, more accurate passer than they had before. And, they're relying on the run game. They're back with the run game. Najee Harris has become a guy that they look for to be that guy. I thought he had lost it. I thought he was about to lose his job to Warren. I thought Warren was, heads and heels above him. But I think the Steelers, after that, was pretty good.
Let's jump to MVP odds. MVP Lamar Jackson, number 1, plus 110. Josh Allen after that, plus 350. Pat Mahomes, 7-1, is third. Jalen Hurts, 4th at 13-1. Jaden Daniels, 5th at 16-1. Then you got Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, all around 20-1 to 22-1. Mm-hmm. Barrett, I'll start with you. Who do you like there? Is there anybody that's not mentioned that you like? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking once again, I thought Saquon would have a legitimate shot with being a little higher on that list of probables. King Henry, I thought he would be higher on that list with a probable bet for it. But it's a quarterback. It's a quarterback award, so I think there's some good money in Hurts and Jaden Daniels. The Thursday night game. You probably get, the higher the odds of whoever wins that game. But, I would have to say, Jalen Hurts. I would go Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
I think it would be good money.
What you think, Dev?
I don't know. It's really hard to tell because I was having this debate with one of the Philly radio hosts the other day where he was saying Jalen Hurts. You can't believe Jalen Hurts is ranked that high or has the odds that high. But you look around the league and it kind of goes into the running backs are having a really big season. I mean, passing's down. There's not really, to me, a quarterback that stood out. I think Jaden Daniels stands out because he's playing well, but he's a rookie. I don't want to discredit Jaden Daniels because he's good. But then, if you really compare him to, Lamar Jackson, are we really, Lamar Jackson's going to win that debate, right?
Yeah,
Jaden Daniels is impressive because, he kind of came out of nowhere and he's young and it's his first season in the NFL. So, I mean, now, I would say so far through the season, I think Josh Allen is playing the best. I know he's coming off probably his worst game quarterback-wise. He's starting to turn the ball over more and looking like the Josh Allen we know from seasons past. But at least to start the season, I definitely don't think Patrick Mahomes is playing MVP level.
No, he shouldn't be up there.
So, yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to choose. And I know a lot of people are debating, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. I would love that. It's a quarterback award.
Yeah,
a running back's not going to win this.
That's what pisses me off because the true answer to me is Derrick Henry.
That's a clear that's the clear,
MVP.
right? There is a very clear answer, but they're not going to.
Yeah. Well, I get Lamar 24 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's played phenomenal, but Derrick Henry has been the best player in the offense. Just like I'm surprised Jalen Hurts is that far up because I think Jalen is the most important player, but Saquon is the MVP.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's running through Saquon. I think the running backs this year have been the most important players for their team. So I just wish, I get it, it's a quarterback award. I wish we were being fair here.
I know.
The fair answer is Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley.
They should
those
be the
two
top
individuals,
2 odds.
100%.
Hands down.
Well, yeah, you look at last year. I think last year kind of crushed me with it knowing that this is a quarterback-driven award because there's no way CMC should not have been the MVP last year. No way he should not have been MVP, period.
Mhm.
I co-sign that. It should be run, especially when there's no quarterback having a historical crazy year. If that's the case, then let's be a little bit fair here. All right, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, alternatives. Our man Kenny Henderson is gonna jump in and give us alternatives. Who's gonna have over 100 yards? Who's gonna have over 125? What quarterback's gonna throw for 300? The big money bets. That's what we're going to get to next on the Sunday Spread. Welcome back to the Sunday Spread. Barrett Brooks, Devin Caney, Sean Bell. All right, it's alternative time. All right, it's the big boy money. It's the big money. All right, 100 yards, 150 yards, throw for 300 yards. The stuff that's going to make you a lot more money. We're going to bring Kenny in and give us a couple odds that he likes. Kenny, what you got?
Let's start in Pittsburgh. George Pickens is the guy we're targeting here. 75 plus yards is plus 100, or you can go up to 100 yards is plus 240. Going up against a Ravens secondary that struggled in last week's game and has really struggled all year long. They gave up 264 yards to Jamar Chase, and Pickens has really come along since Russell Wilson's been inserted in the starting lineup. He was doing fine with Justin Fields, but I think Russell Wilson has finally unlocked George Pickens. Barrett, what do you think about Pickens in this matchup against Baltimore?
Great matchup. I mean, although I think the Ravens secondary hasn't been up, but they get their full complement of DBs back. They get their all-star safety back into the lineup. So with that, I think it's going to be a little harder. But I love Pickens, and I love the way how his confidence has risen since he, now has a quarterback that can get the ball to him. So, I think that's a safe bet. That's a good bet going with Pickens and his ability to go out there and spread the field. And, that 75, I would kind of tease it up a little bit. He's that good of a player. He's that dynamic of a receiver.
So what do you take over 100?
I would take over 100.
Okay.
I would take over 100.
What you think, Dev?
So I'm looking back at Pickens' games. He's only had over 100 receiving yards once, and it was against the Jets. He did have 91 last week.
Twice. He had one against the Colts also.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's just past what I'm looking at. So in the last 5 games, I should say. I'll take 75 or more, though, because the Ravens are allowing the most receiving yards to the position, and George Pickens has been playing really well with Russell Wilson. So I will alt 75 or more.
I'm definitely alting 75. George Pickens may be the most funny wide receiver to watch in the league.
Why?
Because he's ridiculous. Like, there was a play that they showed on Twitter. I know it's Twitter, and I'm never calling it X. It's Twitter. Of Russell Wilson throws an interception, and he's like, forget the guy who caught it. I'm just going to fight this cornerback.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't care if it's clear or not that I touched the guy down. It's time to fight. There's another play where he does a hop, skip, jump in the air and then stiffs on a cornerback and pulls his face mask. He jumps. He's always doing ridiculous things that makes it funny. Like
non-football things.
Yes, non-football. Like, I saw someone say it on Twitter and I laughed because I identify who those people are. It's like you can tell who was always in ISS. For those that don't know, ISS is in-school suspension. You can tell he was always in school suspension for doing dumb things in class. Like, that's him.
You know who else definitely was? C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the
100%.
Yeah. 100%. That
C.J. Gardner is one of those ISS kings.
Yeah.
Like, I never see him in class because he's always in ISS.
Yeah.
That's George Pickens to a T. Always doing funny/dumb things that have nothing to do with the play.
Bro.
And so for that reason alone, I root for him to do well.
Well, I should have probably had Ritalin. Both C.J. Gardner-Johnson and him should have had Ritalin and still should be playing with it right now. You know what I'm saying? Because neither one of them.
Are football players allowed to take it? Like, are professional athletes allowed to take medications?
Probably not.
Yeah.
They do anyways. It's and people don't understand. Back when weed was something that they don't test for it now, but they used to test for it. Bro, I had never seen that much weed smoking in my life, I played with players that could not play if they weren't high.
Yeah,
I've actually heard that about mostly like baseball players. So football, I would feel is a little more difficult for that. But
no, it's not difficult at all. I mean, you can go by. I remember the hotel. You can go by a look. Now, usually it's about this far, in the hotel, and you could tell all the weed smokers because all of them would have you'd see the piece of
the towel that they stuff under the door. Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
How did we?
So, anyways,
how did we get here?
What a segue.
But yes,
yeah.
George Pickens, ISS, 75 plus.
I'll go 100.
Well, maybe even 100. Book it. Kenny, what do you think?
Yeah, I love George Pickens in this matchup. I think fading the Ravens secondary has become a very profitable thing. I think overs in Ravens games have been hitting because their secondary has been allowing receivers to go off. So I think George Pickens is going to go off in this matchup. You guys mentioned CJ Gardner-Johnson. Pickens and Gardner-Johnson will be on the same football field December 15th out in Philly. What do you guys think about that?
That'll be amazing. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's no question. There's fights.
It can, again, they don't play enough, but if they played enough, it could be Odell Beckham versus Josh Norman. Remember that? Like, it could be that type of fighting silliness.
Or Texans Titans game. Remember the cornerback?
You're talking about Andre Johnson and Cortland Finnegan.
That was rumble.
And what's another famous one? A kid Talib snatch. Michael Crabtree. Snatch his chain off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
There's some memorables then. Pac-Man had him a couple too.
Look at that. NFL ain't like it used to be. Right? You know what I'm saying? What else you got, Kenny?
All right, let's go to the Meadowlands for the Colts-Jets game. Actually a pretty big game in the AFC when you look at the way the playoff picture is running, but the Jets are slowly running themselves out of it. And I think Jonathan Taylor for the Colts is going to help the Colts on Sunday get a win. 100-plus yards, plus 120, or you can go up to 125 yards, plus 290. We know the Jets' run defense is bad. Taylor's coming off a good week where he did have over 100 yards. And also, Anthony Richardson's back in this game. So that should help Jonathan Taylor open up the run game to where it's not Joe Flacco under center. They can run a lot out of shotgun, run some option plays. What do you think about this one, Sean? Jonathan Taylor on Sunday against the Jets.
Yeah, I'm going with it. Again, I said this earlier about Jonathan Taylor having an anytime touchdown. I think he has a big game in general. Colts also one of my upset picks to beat the Jets. And Jonathan Taylor has to have a big game for that to happen. He's had over 100 yards 4 out of his last 6 games. And one of those games, he had 88 yards. He was close. He's averaging 4.9 yards a carry. Mm-hmm. And this Jets defense isn't close to what it was when they had Robert Saleh.
That's
isn't
solid.
Close, yeah. Right? Like, again, have the same players, but it's not called the way it should be. He's a really good defensive coordinator, and that's what they're missing. So all that being said, I'm 100% with Jonathan Taylor. What you think, Dev?
I'm with it. My one hesitation is if you look back to his game logs, he kind of goes like he like flip-flops. So he'll have like a game where he has over 100 rushing yards and then it's like under 50 and then over 100. He's only had 2 back-to-back games this season where he's gotten over 100 rushing yards. And that was Green Bay and Chicago. But given how bad and just defeated the Jets seem to be playing, by the way, during the Jets game week 10, the camera panned over to Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. And like, I feel like Devontae Adams just sitting there like, what did I do? What did I do? Like you could see his bad decisions written all across his face.
Right.
Anyways, I think I'll go with it. Because I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be utilized a lot with Anthony Richardson in at quarterback again. So.
Yeah. The read option is going to be big for him. And, you know, you got to pick your poison. Who do you want to stop? Because Richardson is just as good a running back as Jonathan Taylor is. And I meant running back. I don't know about quarterback.
Which, by the way, I kind of like him. I almost mentioned it, but didn't as an anytime touchdown scorer because the Jets defense is also really bad against mobile quarterbacks in the red zone.
Yep.
So I just don't know how much I trust Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's why I didn't put it in my official parlay, but maybe I'll do it as like a little side.
100 yards plus 120 is a good bet.
Yeah. You like it?
Yeah, I like the bet. I like it. You know, I think Jonathan Taylor's, man, he's just so good, man. He doesn't get noticed like he should because he plays for a terrible team. Not really a terrible team, but a team that just
Nobody cares about it.
blood. Yeah, right.
Let's be clear. No one cares. All right, like again, that is small market stuff. It's just nobody really cares. Kenny, what you think and what you got next?
Yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor has a huge game on Sunday. I think that when you're looking at underdogs this week, I think I like Devin Steelers' pick a lot. I think the Jets are another attractive underdog. I think that a lot of these games some of them are bigger spreads. I think that some of these shorter dogs, though, are definitely live to win, and I think the Colts are one of them, and I would predict them to be a Jets team that just looks just so dysfunctional right now, even though it is on the road in New York or in New Jersey, rather. All right, let's go to Sunday Night Football. Justin Herbert, 250 plus passing yards would be plus 115, or you can go up to 300 at plus 380. I know the Chargers are usually a run-first team, but the Bengals do have a bad defense and a struggling secondary. The Bengals need to win, so they'll probably be throwing the ball, playing Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow all game, throwing the ball back and forth because they need to get a win here. Herbert has been throwing the ball a lot more lately. Devin, what do you think about Justin Herbert on Sunday Night Football?
I like it. I'll take over 250 because against that Bengals defense that we know is just really bad against the pass especially, and Justin Herbert has been putting up some numbers through the air. He's not coming off his best game whatsoever against the Titans. He had 164, but I mean, I think the Titans defense is better than a lot of people give them credit for because it's the Titans. But if you look back to his games before that, I mean, 282 against the Browns, 279 against New Orleans, 349 yards against the Arizona Cardinals. So, yeah, I think he can hit 250 this Sunday against the Titans. I mean, the Titans. You know what I mean. Yeah. Words are hard.
Yeah.
Barrett, what you think?
I think Harbaugh is he's connected with his quarterback now. Of course they're going to be a run heavy, run-centric type of team. And, I think that kind of bows in well with what they're trying to do there. So, yeah, I like J.K. Dobbins to go out there and allow them to go out there and pass the ball as heavy because everybody wants to stop the run. And J.K. Dobbins gives them just enough – him and Edwards give them just enough attention that when they put the ball up, they can do it without hesitation because the run game is so well. So, I like that. I'm going to go with that. 250.
I'm a faded. I just doesn't feel, I don't know. It's one of those I just don't know, right? Like he has, like Devin said, in 3 out of his last 4 games, he's had over 250 yards. Before that, he had no games over 250 yards. So things have.
I think they were still finding themselves.
Yeah, things have opened up for him. They used them a little bit more, but they're still a run-centric team. He's starting to find the wide receivers that he likes, but it's just something about it. Something about this game. Something about Justin Herbert. I'm not feeling it. I don't have any particular stat, any particular reason, but it's one of those things where he's been too inconsistent all year in regards for throwing a lot of yards. Their offense sometimes go, we're going to be run dominant, right? And the Bengals can't stop either one, in my opinion, the run or the pass. So it's not one that I hate, but it's just not one that I love. So I'm going to stay away from it.
You just fading because Jalen Reagor's on the squad. That's all. You just fade that. That's all.
Oh, buddy. I mean, he's found his way. I mean, he ain't a stud or anything, but he's playing. He's making plays. They seem to like him. Kenny, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Herbert is going to have to be good through the air because I don't think Cincinnati's going to back down and just let the Chargers run down their throat. I mean, they have a good front. Trey Hendrickson, normally a pass rusher, but he's part of the front on the Bengals that can really stop the run. And I don't think they're going to let Dobbins and Edwards really kill them. So therefore, Herbert's going to have to throw the ball. And like I said, the Bengals, I know that the Chargers defense is good, but they're going to want to throw the ball in this game. And I like that 250 and maybe even up to 300. I think if the game is close, maybe goes into overtime potentially, you only have a 1.5 point spread. You can get to the 300 for Herbert.
All right. I mean, again, I respect it. I think y'all may be right. It's just one of those that I'm just a little too. I'm too much of a punk on this one, so I'm gonna stay away. And then if y'all lose next week, I'm gonna laugh at y'all. You know what I mean? That's one of those things. I'm a punk, but I'm gonna laugh at y'all anyway. When we come back, we'll get to the biggest games of the week, and there's a lot of big games. Ravens, Steelers, Chiefs, Bills, even the Bengals, Chargers, like we just talked about, should be a good game. So we're going to talk about the biggest games of the week on the Sunday Spread. And we're back rolling on the Sunday Spread by BetQL, presented by BetMGM. Barrett Brooks, Devin Caney, Sean Bell. Biggest games of the week, and we got some monster games of the week. Kenny, come back in. Tell us where we are starting.
Let's begin in the 1 p.m. Eastern slate with the Ravens traveling to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers, who are undefeated with Russell Wilson at their center. The Ravens are 3-point favorites at the Steelers. Devin, you said earlier in the show that the Steelers, we were on them last week. Are they going to get a win again as an underdog this week, or at least cover?
I think they will. They're my underdog of the week. I mean, I had them on the money line in our underdog segment earlier in the show, so definitely taking them to cover the 3-point spread. I don't know if that line has moved. Is it still 3? Yeah. They're playing at home. The Steelers historically play better at home to begin with. They have Mike Tomlin, who I think just automatically gives the Steelers an advantage against any opponent. And you look at the Ravens' past matchups and Lamar Jackson's past matchups against the Steelers, and the Steelers truly are Lamar Jackson's kryptonite. He does not play well. He's even acknowledged it to media this week. And he says, I don't know what it is about the Steelers, man.
Right.
I can't play well against them. His one win against the Steelers in his 4 starts was in 2019. He's turned the ball over a bunch against them. He has a really low quarterback rating. And the Steelers team seems to be rolling right now. Since Russell Wilson has stepped in as their starting QB, they've won all of their games. They're starting to get the ball out through the air a lot more. We're seeing George Pickens, who we just talked about, go off. And their defense has always been great. So I really like this matchup, especially given the productivity we're seeing from the Steelers offense in terms of their receivers and what Russell Wilson can do through the air, and the Ravens' poor secondary that is just giving up a ton of yards to opposing receivers. So I like the Steelers in this matchup. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I also kind of like the over. I know that when you think of the Steelers, you don't really think of like high-scoring games because their defense is so good, but I could see this one being kind of a shootout.
I mean,
they let up 27 to Washington, and you got Jaden Daniels times 2.
Yeah.
So I can certainly see why it being a shootout, because you're facing a guy with more talent, that's more experience in facing you. Again, I understand it's a divisional opponent, but I'm a better version of Washington. You just gave up 27 of them. So this could be a high-scoring game. And you talk about the Ravens.
What's the total at right now? Sorry, I can't see that. My eyesight's too bad.
I don't know.
There, what's it say?
48.5.
48.5.
48.5.
48.
Again, I know it's a divisional opponent, so things get a little tougher, get a little grimy. But the Ravens' defense hasn't been good. Their defense is predicated, to me, was predicated on being great, on having 2 great linebackers. And they really miss Patrick Queen, who's going to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes,
and that's part of the reason why the Steelers have been so good. So they've missed that linebacker combination of being great. It's like the 49ers, the team I support, them without Dre Greenlaw, they're a different defense. With Dre Greenlaw, it's elite. Without Greenlaw, solid defense, but not anything that's scary. And so I think this can be a lot of points. The Steelers can score a lot of points, and I go back and forth, and I'm gonna be back and forth until 12:59. But I'm leaning towards the Ravens.
Really?
I just think Ravens have had more big game moments so far this season. Their competition level has been a little bit better because the Ravens have faced a first place schedule, as opposed to the Steelers have not placed a first place schedule, obviously. And so I think that they're going to be able to score points on the Steelers, and I don't think the Steelers are going to be able to catch up. Again, I know you don't think that a team's going to score a lot on the Steelers, but who's been able to stop them so far at scoring? Even in their losses, they still scoring a lot of points. So I'm leaning towards the Ravens, even though I wouldn't be surprised at all if everything you said, Devin, is 100% on.
Yeah, I want to pick them as my upset, but at this point I don't know. I just can't, because King Henry is just he's the key. His ability to go out there and establish the run, and it doesn't matter what defense is out there, because he falls forward, that's 3 yards. Do that 4 times is a first down. And his ability, to break some, through the game, I mean, they've been averaging what 30-something points a game.
Oh, the Ravens.
The Ravens, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their let's look at their games in general, right? Bengals last week, 35 points. The Broncos, they put up 41. Lost to the Browns, put up 24, but put up 41 against the Buccaneers, put up 30 against the Commanders, put up 41 against the Bills, put up 35 against put up 35.
Yeah,
put up 28 against the Cowboys. It's nonstop of 30 plus.
Yeah, but they've also given up 29 or more points in the last 3 of their 4 games.
See, that's what it is. Yeah. So I mean, it's
correct.
You definitely, it's just like you said. I'd bet the over. I'd bet the over strong. So I would definitely bet the over. But the Steelers, I'm not gonna say it's fool's gold that they've had from these past couple of weeks, but I will say they squeaked it out last week. Helped us out with beating, the Commanders, and it's on, like I said, last second of the game. But I still would have to go with the Ravens on this. I mean, I go with the points with the Ravens.
Again, can't be mad either way. This is going to be one of those games where you go last second. Both of these teams beat Washington, by the way.
Yeah.
28-27 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Ravens beat them 30-23. Both close games, both games that went down to the wire, so you expect it to be the same when it comes to this Sunday. Dylan, what you think?
Dylan.
Excuse me. Kenny, what you think? My bad. Dylan.
We were all like,
we're like, who are you talking about?
I was like, is he talking to me? I already talked.
Dylan, Dev. Long show, long day. Sorry, Kenny. What do you
All
think?
good. No problem. I actually like the Steelers in this game. I think in a teaser especially, I'd tease them up to +9. I think it's a close game. I'd also take the points. I don't know if I'd take the money line. I just think fading this Ravens team that much is like I took the Bengals money line against the Ravens, and then you know how that went. I mean, the Ravens win, but I don't know if they don't cover a lot, especially as a favorite. I know this is still a small number, so I like the Steelers in this game. And like I said, I think you can tease them and find another teaser leg to pair. And I think a good one is in this next game. Chiefs are 2.5-point underdogs yet again. Vegas is giving us Patrick Mahomes as an underdog at the Buffalo Bills. Over under 46. Sean, are we taking the Chiefs as an underdog in this game?
Yeah, I told you before, I'm definitely taking the Chiefs. Again, the Bills at 8-2, they haven't beat a team over 500. So again, as much as they look good, they haven't beat any real competition yet. And so I'm big on who you played and how you've been tested, and they haven't been tested as opposed to the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, they've been squeaking out W's and the referees helping and block field goals. It seems like this team has a lot of luck and is blessed by the football gods, but they have several teams that you can say, oh, they beat a playoff team. They beat the Ravens, like I said. They beat the Atlanta Falcons. They beat the Chargers. They beat the 49ers. They beat the Broncos. And even the teams I didn't name, like the Bengals, look pretty good and like they may make a surge to make the playoffs. They beat the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers, again, when they have both of their weapons, are a good team that can compete and maybe win that division if people come back on time. They've beaten good teams, even though they've been tight. Right now, it seems like the Chiefs, if they're favored in the game, take the other team and take the other team to cover. The Chiefs are the king the last 3 years, 2.5, of not being able to cover. So that's just information for later down the line. They are not going to be able to cover, and because they always win in these tight games. So that's how I view the Chiefs. But I think they're going to win this game just because they've been battle tested and the Bills haven't. Dev, I know you think opposite.
I disagree. Yeah, I think this is the game that the Bills, get their revenge, if you will, over the Chiefs. Also, I love this rivalry. You would think that these two were division rivals,
Right.
The way that it's just so contested. I do think that this is the game. The Chiefs finally are brought down to earth, and it's going to be by the Buffalo Bills. A lot of it will come down to the running back health on Kansas City's side. I think if Isaiah Pacheco is able to play and healthy, I don't think he will. I know reports are saying like he could be back, but the Bills' defensive weakness is against the run. Otherwise, like they're stingy against tight ends. Kind of takes Travis Kelce out of the equation, or as much as you can with Travis Kelce. They're stingy against wide receivers. they're just giving up yards to running backs, especially running backs who can receive. So that's my one worry. But I mean, Josh Allen and this Bills team, Josh Allen is coming off, not his best performance in week 10. I think it's a good bounce back spot. They're playing at home in front of that rowdy Buffalo crowd who probably hates the Chiefs even more than the players of the Buffalo Bills hate the Chiefs. They're going to be loud. They're going to be fired up. I just think that all the momentum and energy is going to be on the Bills' side here. And they have more talent. I just think that the Chiefs have been, I don't want to use the word fraudulent because, they're not bad. Their offense is not clicking. Their defense is overrated. Their defense giving up 17 points per game. I just like the Bills here.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. When you say fraudulent, it sounds like so bad. But it's the same. The concept of them being
their record
squeaking
is
by,
fraudulent.
yeah.
They're fraudulent 9-0,
squeaking by.
Yeah.
And I feel the same. I feel the same way with you, also. But I just think at this point, Josh is just playing at such a high level and commanding, things so well that I wanna fade the Bills and have it be an upset with the Chiefs, just because they're 9. But I think it's time for them to be knocked off their perch and they get their first loss, so they'll be 9-1. So, thinking of that, I don't know who can block Jones. There's nobody that can block Jones. He can take a game over. But I also think if you look at how the Bills defense is playing right now, so this is one of the toughest games. I've been going through it in my head, since we started out talking with it at the top of the show. I might have to fade this.
The funny thing about that is, and this goes more to Devin, is going, all right, this team they're not going undefeated. They ain't got that type of team.
Mm-mm.
And so now you got to look at their schedule and say, well, who's going to beat them? Right? Is it going to be a surprise victory? Because you start looking at the schedule, you go, oh, they got the Panthers. They got the Raiders. They got the Browns. Now they do have the Texans, Steelers, Chargers, so those could be tough games. So now you got to go, all right, who's going to beat them? Who's going to upset them? What's the upset part if they are a team that's going to go 16-1? Who's going to catch them? Who's going to bite them? And it feels like out of the
Steelers
team,
are going to beat them.
That could be true. I was going to say out of the teams left, it does feel like the Bills may have the best chance to do so.
Yep.
But the Steelers right next to the Bills with the best chance of beating them.
Yep.
Because it's at Pittsburgh when they do go to Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, fraudulent. But again, they played so poorly. Not poorly. I can't say poorly. They're 9-0.
But they haven't played like a 9-0.
Yes.
If you see a team that's 9-0 on paper and you don't know anything, especially when it's the Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to say, oh, look, they're just dominating again, but they're not dominating at all. They're squeaking by. And they're also literally analytically rated the luckiest team in the NFL, and they have been since week 1.
Yeah,
the calls are going their way. The ball, everything is just going their way as it does.
They've been so underwhelming that even a bad team can end up beating them.
Yeah.
Or a team, not bad team, but a team like the Chargers who aren't at their level can.
The Broncos almost beat them last week.
Well, I mean, Kelsey hadn't come outside to play until the last 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
He's been average up until the last 3 or 4 games.
Is he old?
Yeah.
Do we feel like this is decline or this is just the tight ends not having a good season until now? Are we seeing Travis dip?
I think a mix of all of the above.
It has nothing to do with his girlfriend.
No, and I don't want to be that person that's like, it's Taylor Swift. But his mind's got to be elsewhere. You're dating the most famous person in the world. We see you out and about. You're on private jets, flying to New York for a night and then back for practice, back for a game. There's no way that can't affect you.
Yeah.
And you're old.
Yeah.
For an NFL player.
Yeah. Yep.
You're old.
I'm he's younger than me though.
I know. That's why I always have to say that. Because I'm the way we talk about athletes always cracks me.
It is, man.
Oh, man, he's so old. We talk about these people who are younger than us.
Joel Embiid has been in the league 10 years, but you look at him, he looks like he's about my age. And I'm 52, and he looks like he's my age.
He does look.
Right?
Yeah.
He's 29. He's 31.
Yeah.
Right? It's just all
he's
right.
Younger than me.
Who's this old guy? Get out of here. Again, it's just, I don't know. What do you think about this, Kenny? Who are you picking in this one?
I'm concerned for Devin because she's actually gonna take the Bills here at a minus price. I understand everything that she's saying, and she's right about it. But at the
Uh-huh.
same time, we know this. We know that the Chiefs are good at winning football games. It doesn't matter how it's done. If they're in the football game, they're going to be better on third down. Their defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, always seems to make the right call.
Yeah,
That
he
was
does.
the blocked field goal was coaching, guys. They knew that the Broncos' left side was weak. They lined up 3 guys over there, including Leo Chenal. He was able to block that kick. The Chiefs are not a team that I think I'm interested in fading at all. Now, if they're favored in a game by like 8 points, then I'm sure taking the other side is a good idea because they don't do a good job at covering those numbers. But I think here as a dog, you have to lay juice on the money line, or you have to lay points against Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs. They're trying to go undefeated. They have a chance to do it now. I'm not interested in fading them at all. I would either take them or tease them up to 8.5 in this game.
Excuse me, 8.5.
Yeah, and like a teaser leg.
I
You know, like a 6-point
No.
teaser leg, pair them with another team up to
Yeah.
plus 8.5.
Yeah, I know, but I hate the Chiefs. I just don't want the Chiefs to win. I'll be honest with you. I picked the Chiefs to win, but I'm like, all the stuff you're saying in support of them winning, it's just all this. But they can't win 3 Super Bowls in a row,
No,
right?
no.
It's
No.
never been done before.
So are you all
So are
saying
they
that
are they going to have the best season? Are they going to have the best season out of anybody and go win a Super Bowl? I can't take that.
No. I would love nothing more than because I feel like the overall opinion on the Chiefs has been like, yeah, they keep winning, or like they're not playing well, but like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, like they'll get it together. Like come playoff time, like they'll do what they always do. I would love nothing more than for them to absolutely collapse, like pull a 10-1 Eagles last season and just like implode
Yeah, that
and
ain't.
embarrass themselves.
I would love it too, but that ain't.
You don't know that. It could happen. It could happen.
Look, the wishful thinking of a hater. I like it. That's where my mind usually is. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, talk about a couple more big games. All right, there's a couple more left in the chamber. I also want to get Kenny's opinion on the Bears, where his mindset is at. We've been talking about the Bears. Kenny is Mr. Bear.
Mhm.
You get to hear my opinions on the Niners, y'all opinion on the Eagles. I need to hear what Kenny has to say about the firing, how they're going to do this week, in the future prospects. Does he miss Justin Fields at all? Just a question. Just a question. We're going to have that and the best bets coming up on the Sunday Spread. Welcome back to the final segment of the Sunday Spread. Barry Brooks, Devin Kenny, Sean Bell. We're talking about the big games, and we got to talk about the Bears for a moment. I mean, that's a big game in itself also. The Bears-Packers, that's always been one of the biggest rivalries of all the sports. Packers have tortured the Bears for 20-plus years. Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, the Packers, king of having quarterbacks we don't like, but they got Jordan Love now. So hopefully he remains a likable figure. Kenny, they've all been hateable figures for you. How are you feeling about the Bears right now? Their chances of winning, their chances the rest of the season. What's the state of the Bears as a Bears fan?
It's really tough right now. And I mean, just to take you back to where this team was a few weeks ago, they were 4-2 heading into a bye. And then they had the Washington game where they had it in their hands. They played a really bad game. And in the fourth quarter, they were able to muster a few drives together, take the lead. And then the Hail Mary happened. And then since the Hail Mary, they've played really bad football. 9 points, no touchdowns in Arizona. And then 3 points, no touchdowns against the Patriots this past weekend and another loss. So, yeah. Waldron's gone, and I think in this game they should be able to keep it close against Green Bay. In the meeting that they played last year, the second one, Green Bay won 17-9. So the defense, I think, can play well, and they have played well, and I think the offense will get a spark. But overall, the morale is really low, and I think that this team could eventually quit. And I think that you can see Matt Eberflus out the way maybe before the end of the year, depending on how this week goes. So, because
What do you
most of their
think
coaching staff's been fired.
Right, like
since he's been
what's
there.
going to be different, especially offensively? Now, I don't even know who's the OC now, and like what
Thomas
what
Brown
visible
will be the
changes?
new offensive coordinator.
Okay,
Well, I would say that they're going to let the offense be a little bit more loose. I think that Shane Waldron wanted to run his scheme with a lot of screen passes and You know, he was a very timid guy overall. There was a lot of shots of him shaking on the sideline, and like he was just
Really?
not.
What?
Yeah, if you look up Shane Waldron shaking in the Sunday night game specifically against Houston, he had the play sheet in his hand and it was like shaking,
Are you
and he was really nervous, and he was not a likable guy according to the players, and
Oh, that
so
makes me sad though.
It's always
Yeah,
the
I
player's
mean-
fault. Yeah, it's always the player's fault.
no. To that point, this is a lot on Caleb Williams. This is a big game for him. He has not played well the last few weeks, and I think a lot of it's because the team morale is really low since the Hail Mary. And I
Right,
think that
right.
all the players, you know, Barrett, you were a player, you would know what it takes, you know, when the team morale is really low for all the guys to band together. And maybe it's the change of the offensive coordinator. Maybe they rally around him calling plays this week, and he lets them be a little bit more loose. Now, just from a
One
betting
for the
perspective,
Gipper.
I would not put any money on the Bears, whether it's spread or anything, just because this could be a team that could quit. So that's just
Well,
something to look out for.
Yeah, and I didn't even put that together until you mentioned the Hail Mary, and it does seem like that's really where things fell apart for them because that is just like absolutely deflating. And remember, there was that Bears player who was like taunting the crowd, and then he was the one who ended up like being responsible for that touchdown. So, I feel like I have seen like clips here and there about like locker room issues, like that is a factor. So you think that the OC Shane Waldron being fired can fix that?
Yeah, I think that I think
Okay.
that the locker room can be somewhat different. I'm not saying that this team's going to go on a run or anything, but I think that you'd have
Put up
to
more than
expect
3
them.
points, right?
Yeah, they're going to put up a performance this week that's somewhat respectable. And a lot of it's going to be on how Caleb Williams plays because he's the driver of the offense. And I think they do have the weapons to where if he's playing well, a lot of those guys can put up numbers. You saw earlier in the season, you know, this team in the Packers that they're playing this week is not the Panthers. They're not the Jaguars. But if they can replicate some of the things they did in those games in this game, maybe they can keep it close. And I think that's what you got to look for as a Bears fan. And if you're on the Bears, I think that they need to show the Packers and the rest of the league that they're still a competitive team, and they could potentially, if they're not going to be in the playoffs, spoil some teams because they've got all their divisional games coming up here, and they're going to want to show what they're worth because coming into the season, they had expectations to be, you know, near the playoffs, at least in the wild card conversation. So it's disappointing, and this team was looking up 3 weeks ago, and now it looks like their season's basically over, especially if they don't pull out a win, which is very unlikely.
What's your belief system in Caleb Williams right now? Because again, the Bears is where quarterbacks go to die. Like they have a quarterback curse there. Your best quarterback in the last 30 years is Jay Cutler, who I love. Jay Cutler, by the way, he's hilarious to me. Like, but not good quarterback play. Do you believe in Caleb Williams still, or do you feel like there's something going on just being a quarterback in Chicago?
I don't think being in Chicago is going to completely ruin him if he's just not really good. Like Fields and Trubisky, I think we're obviously going to be better in a lot of different situations, and Caleb Williams would of course be better in a different situation as well. But I think that if he's really good, I think that they're going to find a way to figure it out because they do have some things in place, and I think a lot of it just relies on him and what he's going to do to make himself better because right now, they just don't have enough people to protect him. It's hard to evaluate him when he's not being protected and he's being sacked on a lot of plays. I think some of the sacks definitely do fall on him. But I think that as he continues to develop and the team, next year they get in a better coach, they upgrade the offensive line, then we'll get a better evaluation. Is Caleb Williams good enough? And then if he's good enough, how good is he? Is he an elite quarterback that's going to take the Bears to Super Bowls? Or is it going to be more like Dak Prescott where they're just going to take him – he's going to take us to the playoffs and then lose. You know, like Dak Prescott's a franchise quarterback, and he's made a lot of money in this league. Caleb Williams can do the same thing, but Caleb Williams might not win a Super Bowl or be an elite quarterback, but I think he can definitely be the franchise guy for the Bears and one of the better quarterbacks. To your point, Jay Cutler, he can be better than Jay Cutler was.
Don't disrespect Jay.
Why do you like Jay Cutler?
I love quarterbacks that are like
That
jerks.
nobody else likes. That's what
I love quarterbacks that are jerks,
Yeah, he is.
but like in a fun way. Like he's a jerk and he's like, but it's hilarious to me. Like there's some that are jerks that are not hilarious. There's others that I'm just like, just a gunslinging punk. Like Barry, you remember this guy? I used to love Jeff George.
Yeah.
Good old gun firing.
Who's
I
like
don't
that
give
now?
a Jeff
Like-
George.
Well, no, but not like in the league right now.
I don't know if there's a
There's a
quarterback
jerk.
Right.
that's like
That's like that.
gunslinging.
Yeah.
I don't give an F.
Maybe like
Like a Ben Roethlisberger.
He's kind of a
Baker
jerk.
Mayfield,
Yes.
but
yes.
not even like he would be.
Yeah, but
kind
Baker's
of
more
close.
likable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people
Yeah.
hated Jeff and Jay. Like you smug. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Yeah, there really aren't any quarterbacks.
There's
like
no
that right now.
quarterbacks here. Like I really don't like that guy.
Yeah.
Jeff George.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, like that
Just-
style, that type.
That style of type was just always entertaining to me on the field. You got one more game for us to discuss real quick, Kenny, before we get to our best bets?
Well, we can hit Broncos, Falcons. Do you guys have an opinion on this Bears Packers game? You guys would just take the Packers here?
So as we were discussing
Yeah,
it,
I
I'm
think
like,
we're
should I
united.
take the Bears plus 6.5? That's what the line still is, right?
I don't think
Maybe
that's
I
a
will.
good idea.
Maybe I will.
She's just talking.
I don't think that's a good
5.5.
idea.
5.5. 5.5?
She's just talking.
No, probably not. I won't.
She's just talking. Right, Barrett? We're all on the Packers.
Easy.
We're all on the.
You're not even going to,
We're all on the Packers. Matter of fact, we got to get to our best bets because we're running out of time, Kenny. Obviously. And Kenny, I want to get your best bets. We usually don't get to give a stone cold bet from you, so I want you to get in there also. Dev, we'll start with you.
All right.
Stone cold best bets.
All right, let's do it. So we didn't really get to this game too much, but Seahawks plus 6.5 versus the Niners. This is a divisional game. Seahawks
You
are
always
coming
like-
off
you
a
just
bye,
like to
so they're
disrespect me.
rested. And I like to disrespect Sean. So Seahawks plus 6.5 against the Niners. I like Bills minus 2.5 over the Chiefs, or not over, but like against. You know what I mean.
Mhm.
Don't judge me, Kenny. I know you already told me that this is a bad idea. I'm gonna roll with it. You just like made me feel more emboldened to stay with the Chiefs covering the 2.5. And then Steelers money line, Steelers plus 145. I think Steelers are going to beat the Ravens. Touchdowns, I know I kind of gave you a couple, but let me take you through a few that you can parlay them all if you're a sicko or place them here and there. So Najee Harris, Dalton Kincaid, Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones, J.K. Dobbin, Anthony Richardson.
Those are all touchdowns?
Yes.
Oof. Are you going to parlay all those together?
I might because I'm a sicko, but like if you just want to take them, here and there, that's
All right.
I probably would recommend
have
that.
a combo of.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. B. Brooks?
I'm going to go, and I'm going, this is all points. Packers, I'm taking Packers, -5. Colts, +5 over the Jets. You know, you know what? I'd go just out and out win too. Over the Jets, and then I'm gonna go Titans +6 with the Vikings,
Okay.
and then 49ers over Seattle -6. Anytime touchdown, your boy Tyrone Tracy Jr. Giants. I'm going with him. Anytime touchdown. Joe Mixon. Anytime touchdown. CMC. Anytime touchdown. James Conner, anytime touchdown, and then Najee Harris, anytime touchdown.
All right. You got a bunch of any-timers in there. All right. I like it. Jahmyr Gibbs over 75 yards in anytime tutty. Again, they're going to have a big game against the Jaguars. I'm thinking about also parlaying that with David Montgomery also getting over 50 yards. Put both of them together and sort of say that's just going to be a big day for the running backs, and the Jaguars are just going to be ran all over. So I'm thinking about actually doing that. I said before I like Kyron Williams to have an anytime tutty. I'm thinking about throwing Alvin Kamara over 75 yards also.
You just
I-
want
I-
to suffer, don't you?
Why?
Cause,
Who's the
man.
suffering? Alvin Kamara?
Yeah.
He's had a pretty good season. Yeah, 715 yards,
It's like
6
their only
touchdown season.
option
He's
now.
their only option. The Cleveland Browns are bad. They
Always get hurt, man. He always get hurt. Every time I bet on him, he gets hurt. So that's why I've been fading him.
He in there now, and he's playing well. Jonathan Taylor, we talked about it earlier, over 100 yards and an anytime touchdown.
Yep.
I like George Kittle against the Seattle Seahawks. I like him for over 50 yards and an anytime touchdown. And J.K. Dobbins didn't do right by me last week, but I think he has a pretty good game in this one. So I'm thinking about going J.K. Dobbins over 75 yards and an anytime touchdown also.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of my, yardage and anytime tutties right here. Kenny, we only got like a minute left, but give me some of yours real quick.
I will keep it very simple here. Mike Tomlin getting points, Andy Reid getting points, the Chiefs and the Steelers. These are going to be very good games. Very excited to watch them. I'll take the teams as underdogs getting points, and with those coaches and with Mahomes and the Steelers defense, TJ Watt. Very excited to watch those games, and I will be on the Steelers and the Chiefs.
All right. I like it. And again, we're both on the Chiefs. Devin, we're going to have something to argue
Bills
about.
Island.
We're going to have something
Bills
to
Mafia
argue.
over
Yeah,
here.
exactly. Bills Mafia. She's probably going to jump through a table. That's how the Bills Mafia likes to do it. Listen, have a great Sunday. Win a lot of money. Anytime touchdowns. Devin's the queen, so whatever she said, combo that. And if you don't get it, tweet her and yell at her.
Please don't do that.
Why not? This has been the Sunday Spread presented by BetMGM on the BetQL Network.